get ready to render some suet down from start to finish. And I know this don't look like no suet you ever seen before. That's because this is what it looks like whenever it comes out of the cow. Like there's still a kidney encapsulated inside this fat. Hold on, I'll show you. There's the kidney. I gotta get that cut out. Before you ask, no, I didn't just go pick this up at my local butcher shop or anything like that. This actually came from one of our own cows that we had processed recently. All I did was simply ask our processor for the kidney fat of the cow, and he gave it to me. Before I can render the suet down, make it anywhere near shelf stable, I've got to get all the blood spots off of it and the silver skin. Now, to make this more manageable to work with, I did have this in the refrigerator so it would be nice and chilled and make it easier to cut and pull that skin and stuff off. I got the kidney out. I'm just gonna set this to the side and I'll turn this into dog treats here in a little bit. Now that I got it cleaned up, I'm gonna run it through a grinder. That's gonna make the rendering go a lot quicker. It's gonna let it melt faster. Once I get a big old bowl full grinded up, then I'm gonna put it in one of these big roast pans. I'm doing a dry render. All that means is I'm not adding any water to this. I'm not turning this into skincare products. I fully intend on using this tallow purely for cooking purposes, and I plan on putting it in jars to make it shelf stable. Now, if I were to add water, it would help prevent scorching, but adding water can also increase the spoilage risk because you may not fully get the moisture out when you render it down. I'm gonna dry render it on low around 220 degrees. This is gonna allow the moisture to naturally evaporate. Now, while this is rendering, I am not gonna put a lid on it. I'm gonna leave the lid off because when you cover your pot, that traps the steam inside. It doesn't allow for full evaporation. Now that this is fully melted, the first render is done. I'm gonna strain all these cracklings out of it. And I'm simply doing that. I've got a bowl, cheesecloth, fine mesh strainer. You could also use a coffee filter as well. It works really good. Doing a second render for tallow that you plan on cooking isn't always necessary. For me, I want to make certain all the moisture is fully out of it, so I will be doing a second render. The reason I prefer suet over just regular beef fat trimmings, number one, suet has a lot milder smell than just regular beef fat trimmings. Also, suet has a ton of saturated fats in it, so therefore it has a higher melting point, which makes it better for frying and roasting things, and I do a lot of that. Once it cools off, I'll come back and time to go do our second render. Now that my second render's done, I'm gonna strain it one more time, and then it's gonna be ready to go into our jars where it'll become shelf stable. For you to make tallow shelf stable, you do not have to do any sort of specific canning. You're simply gonna let it self-seal. To do that, you gotta hot pack it. So I've got a jar here that's been warming up in the oven. It doesn't have to be extremely hot, but you want it warm. Pour your liquid tallow into your jar, leaving about a 1/2 inch headspace. Wipe the rim off really well. If there is any fat whatsoever on this rim edge, it'll cause a seal failure. Put your lid on your ring, and then you're just gonna let your jars sit and completely cool off, where it's gonna create a heat seal. This will make this tallow shelf stable for 1 to 2 years, possibly even longer. Hope that helps. Bye.